What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Talk on Tap podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the four major sports leagues, whether that be NFL, NHL, MLB, or NBA, games, news, highlights, all that fun stuff. In today's NBA episode, the United States improved to 2-0, beat South Sudan 103-86 in the exhibition, or not exhibition, but Group C or whatever they're in game to secure their spot in the quarterfinals after moving to 2-0. And then in, I think, the other game, Nikola Jokic in Serbia just flat out dominated Puerto Rico. But in United States, there's Puerto Rico next, I believe, on Saturday. So, that should be fun for the United States. I think they'll probably win that game by like 50, hopefully. But, with that being said, Nick, obviously there's a lot of talent, a lot of mouths to feed. They played South Sudan earlier in just a group game, came down to a LeBron James game-winning layup to beat them by one. I think in my opinion, there are a couple of things to take away from this. I think you can say the United States were obviously way better this game. And South Sudan's, three-point shooting kind of came down to earth. They were shooting like 50+% in that first game to, let them score 100+. But at the same time, I still think South Sudan's a really good team. And might be a hot take, might not be, but it wouldn't surprise me if South Sudan beat Serbia next game and knocked off Nikola Jokic and let them advance to the quarterfinals.
They can definitely shoot. Like I couldn't watch the game, but I did watch the highlights, afterwards. And South Sudan can shoot the basketball very well. Like, it was surprising me. Obviously, Team USA is just, and it seems like at this point, an unstoppable force. I don't want to jinx anything, but it's just there's not much you can do when you're going against a team like that. But if they play a team more so to their level, then I absolutely agree with you. I don't think that's too hot of a take at all. If they're playing Team USA like this, where I know this game was, a blowout, but took them to a 1-point victory just like a week ago, I can definitely see them upsetting some teams like Serbia.
Yeah, no, and it was, really fun to see them play. And that will be a very fun game to watch, actually, I think, Serbia, South Sudan, for, a spot in the quarterfinals. But, at the end of the day, the United States team is on a mission right now. And when we look at, the breakdown of, the game, Bam Adebayo was the story of the first half. I think following KD's, 8 for 8 performance, he started off 8 for 8, obviously, it wasn't like, 5 3-pointers laying it up, but he was just taking advantage of the dunks, was being a beast on the defensive end, and just, contributing to winning basketball. And, I feel like for some guys like Bam, that's, not on the best team in the NBA, doesn't have, the skill sets of, scoring and all that. But I think it's very nice to see where his value can be brought on, the biggest stage with, some of the best players in the world, that he belongs here. And, there's a reason why Joel Embiid, we'll get into it, got benched. But there's a reason why, Bam Adebayo, people may, think, oh, why is Bam's on the Olympic team? His basic stats, averaging, 19 points, 10 rebounds or something. And they're like, wonder why he made it. And then it's like you have to really dive into the depth, and just the analytics show, he's a really good basketball player all around. And now in the Olympics, he's developing that 3-point jump shot where it's like, if he adds that to his repertoire, he can just keep climbing up the player rankings in the NBA. And, he's made a great impact on this team. Great lob threat, catches all of his passes. Seeing Ant throw him the ball, makes me wish, I love him, but, makes me wish Rudy didn't have ping pong hands sometimes where he can't catch the ball quite as much. So it's nice just to be able to see that work out, that connection, and just, him take advantage of the matchups when he's left wide open. And, overall, he's been my most probably pleasant surprise for Team USA.
I agree. It's the same thing for me. And going back to what you said about Embiid being benched, I'm pretty sure he got really limited minutes last game, even though he started, and they look way better without him on the floor. So I'll be curious to see how, Steve Kerr approaches that going forward. Does he bring in Embiid off the bench does he start him just for the sake of starting him and only give him like 10 minutes?
There
Because
is just something with Steve Kerr, though. I just don't know what's going on. It's like it took you this long to figure out that Anthony Davis is like your top dog and should be starting, because it was clear from the very beginning that AD just fits, your FIBA basketball Olympic games better than, Joel Embiid does. And, that's fine. It's, something that, people have to adapt to. And, at the end of the day, Anthony Davis has been here before. He knows what it takes, and he's just, the better. I just think overall the better player. And he's shown that this, Olympic run. And I just think, it makes me wish the NBA had some rules like the Olympics do, just to make it more fun, because no one wants to see on a Wednesday night against the Hornets Joel Embiid taking 25 free throws.
I agree. I I think the NBA can take a lot away from what they're seeing with these Olympics, and these so-called superstars, aka Joel Embiid, are really getting exposed that they feed off of I'll call it softness of the NBA rules, where it's just every time you get touched, it's a foul. He's proving everybody right in that he's a free throw merchant who that's how he scores, 34 points a game, whatever it was. But I agree. I hope the NBA can take away something from this and maybe tighten up on either the refereeing or the rule changes or something like that, because nobody wants to see a free throw competition, especially in big games. Like in big playoff games, nobody wants to see Joel Embiid go to the line 20 times.
And I think the playoffs, it does become a little bit more like this, and that's why you've seen the fall off of Embiid, towards the playoff runs, that and just other things. But that's a good point, and I hopefully something does change, because as skilled as he is, and as talented as Joel Embiid may be, it's just so annoying. And I think this is proven. There are guys that I just think are better than him. Like people maybe before the Olympics had him as maybe like a top 5 player in the league, top 10. But like if you had to pick someone like Joel Embiid or Anthony Davis to go to your team, I'm picking Anthony Davis.
Me too. It's not just the talent or whatever. It's just the grittiness. Like these Anthony Davis and Bam both have that sort of dog mentality that you need in these rules, where you're willing to take contact. You're not just going to flop and look for fouls. Like you're going to attack and just trying to overpower the guy guarding you. And it feels like Embiid never tries to do that. And maybe that's why every now and then in the NBA, we see a guy like Al Horford, kind of log down Embiid. Because if we're being real, a guy of Embiid's, size and physical skill, he should overpower Al Horford, 10 out of 10 times. But if the referees aren't giving Embiid his calls, Al Horford looks like a first-team All-NBA defense when he's guarding Embiid sometimes. So I agree with you.
Yeah, no, and that's very, good. And, it'll be interesting, like you said, to see how Steve Kerr balances, Joel Embiid's minutes the next games, because even then I still find it weird, he didn't get any runs. So you go from, it's like, all right, you're starting. Now you're just not going to play for. You've started all our exhibition games, started the Olympic games, but now you know what? We'll kind of, move you off to the side for this game, which is, whatever. I do feel like they played better without him just because they were trying to force feed him. That's not even necessarily like an Embiid thing, but I feel like at the beginning of games, LeBron or, other guys were just trying to force feed it into him. And it's like, just play around with each other. There isn't one guy you need to force feed on this team to, be good. But with that being said, there were still a lot of other positives to take away from this. KD still looked really good. LeBron did his thing, 12 points. Was getting some boards. Obviously, Bam was the star of the show. But guys, that did get run. JT got the start in yesterday's game. Like I said, not sure how you go from not playing at all to just being a starter. But that's the way this is working, especially demoting someone like Drew Holiday, who's been a beast. But Steve Kerr's just, doing shit, I think, for shits and gigs at this point.
Right.
But it wouldn't surprise me if, he does something stupid in like the gold medal game and, things go a little bit off the wire just because it just doesn't make sense, or he runs a line combination that just, hasn't played much together, so don't know how to work off of each other. But, with that being said, Tatum, I thought, looked really good on defense, struggled to get a shot early, but, made all the right plays passing-wise. And, I think we'll definitely be playing, I don't know if he'll be starting, but he'll definitely, could be contributing, 15 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes a night.
Are you surprised KD hasn't been starting? Or is that just
I think that I more so understand just because they're trying to work him in. And I also don't mind it because, like I said, KD doesn't really need it, but do you want, you have already Curry and LeBron kind of manhandling the first line with other guys like, Drew Holiday that can just play off of each other, I think you want to balance the star power. And I think this is why I talked about in the last episode, KD and Ant work really well together with that second unit. And, Ant is just a perfect spark to bring off the bench, six-man after Booker or Curry. Booker, also give credit to him, he's been hitting his shots. And then, KD and Ant, I think, have been working out really well together. Ant Edwards with another 13 points yesterday. So, shout out him. Even, with like a minute left, he's still, dunking the ball because, you've got to win by point differential in this. So, every point matters. So you see South Sudan and the USA still jacking up threes with 30 seconds left, even though it's already like a 15-point game. So, they don't give two craps. They're letting it rip. So I can respect that. I would say, if you were to point at, maybe a negative, it was probably just, Curry's shot not falling in this game. But I think that's also going to be a positive for next game because that means he probably won't miss. So I'll look for Steph Curry to, maybe have 20-plus points against Puerto Rico. But, struggled to get his shot, but, still had some highlight reel passes with lobs to, I believe it was Bam and one maybe to LeBron. And then Nick, this guy didn't play a lot before, but when his number's been called upon, he's been excellent. Tyrese Halliburton, when he came in, made two instantly hot threes. One was a nice little step back. So, I think this shows even, if you're not playing, you still take a lot from the practice. And when your number's called upon, you're just doing your thing, cooking up and, him just being able to ride that scoring punch, running some different lineups out there. Him playing with Curry, I saw at the end of the first half, shout out Tyrese. He's been largely excellent because I remember in an exhibition game, I don't remember who it was quite against. It may have been the team is slipping upon me, but it was a close game late in the game, and Tyrese Halliburton hit two big threes to, kind of pull the United States away. So when Tyrese Halliburton's number's been called upon, he's been good. And, that's a guy that just kind of won't complain. He's still only 23 years old. He's kind of just taking in the Olympic experience. So I love to see what Tyrese is doing there. And overall, just, being able to contribute. So, very excellent start for the United States in group play. And, still shout out South Sudan. Their first game, winning their Olympic game. And Nick, I saw a good story where the South Sudan, the Olympics played the wrong national anthem when it came on for them.
I did see that too. That's that's a big mess up for the Olympics.
And they took that personally last game.
Yeah. I also saw there's been a few blunders by, whoever puts on the Olympics. I think they announced South Korea as North Korea, which is, they're trying not to be associated with that country. So it's just that's stuff you don't want to see. And, the Olympics, you have 4 years to prepare for it. And, this is South Sudan, some of these guys first and maybe only time playing in the Olympics, and they're playing the wrong national anthem. So
very disrespectful. And I think South Sudan took that personally. And also I've seen, stuff where it's the South Sudan, their basketball team, hasn't been able to practice, at indoor facilities back home. They don't have an indoor facility. They've just been, guys that come in together and just kind of work for one common goal and don't have that continuity. But you know what? They play pretty damn good. And even in not their best shooting game like they did the game before, they still almost dropped 90 points. So they simply know how to score the ball. They have, Wenning Gabriel, who's really good, Luol Deng on that staff. So, I like South Sudan, and they could be a sleeper. If they beat Serbia, if they draw like a top-heavy team like Canada, like I don't know, it wouldn't wholeheartedly shock me if there was an upset of that and they upset a top team.
Yep, their shooting is going to be what keeps them in games, I think, because I don't know. Like I said, I just watched the highlights, so that's what I was seeing. But
Yeah.
I don't
That guy
think
Shayok knows how to shoot.
Yeah, I mean, these guys could be playing. I don't know how old they are, so I don't know like their eligibility but some of these guys could be playing themselves into maybe G League contracts, NBA, like minimum deals, just because like if you showcase your talents on a big stage like this, you never know who might be interested in you. If it's a team like the Hornets who are just begging for something, maybe they'll give you a call. So it's really cool. That's what's really cool about the Olympics is like, yeah, USA blew them out or whatever, but you get to see some of these guys who may have never gotten a shot just because of, where they're from or whatever. And now all of a sudden they're putting on a clinic against the best team in the world.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And, with that being said, South Sudan, Serbia should be fun to see who will get us on the quarterfinals. And with that, also, we briefly mentioned it, Team Canada with NBA players like SGA, arguably top 3 player in the game, top 5. Dylan Brooks, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, RJ Barrett. They're playing really solid. They are 2-0 as well, advanced to the quarters. And France clinched the quarterfinals as well, going 2-0. So good to see the host team with just Wemby and Gobert. But it took them a scare against Japan where this guy Strazel had to hit a 4-point play with like 10 seconds left to even send it into overtime before France took over. So I'm a little bit concerned about France, but we'll see as we, approach the quarterfinals. But still, I think it's US's thing to lose. But it should be very fun when the time does come. Germany also 2-0. I think they're definitely going to be one of the final 3. But with that being said, shout out the Team USA, shout out our dogs. Still get to see our favorite players play on the highest stage and get that gold medal. So maybe Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, and Derek White will have a couple things to celebrate this offseason. But with that being said, as always, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.